Good evening. This is All India Radio Kohima. I'm Jonas Yantan with Evening News. And the headlines. Union Minister of State Bishwewar Tudu reviews the implementation of various central schemes in Nagaland. Nagaland Beekeeping and Honey Mission observes 4th Nagaland Honey Bee Day. Union Finance Minister Sitharaman says there is a need for greater access to international cooperation to control drugs in the country. In India's G20 Sherpa, Kant says India will reflect aspirations of G20 partners and voice of Global South. Now the news in detail. Union Minister of State for Jal Shakti and Tribal Affairs Bishwewar Tudu is on a two-day maiden visit to Nagaland. He arrived in Kohima today. On his arrival, the MOS reviewed the implementation of various schemes, developmental works such as Jal Jivan Mission, Education and Health under the Ministries of Jal Shakti and Tribal Affairs. Earlier, he held a meeting with State BJP party. Addressing media persons this evening, the minister apprised on the progress of the implementation of various schemes carried out in the state. He reasoned that due to hilly terrain, the state could not carry out major projects. To this, Tudu suggested the state officials to come out with a proposal in order to avoid a delay in implementation of projects. The Minister of State informed that the total amount of 13,784.07 lakh rupees was released to Nagaland for the financial year 2019-20 to 2022-23 under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, while under the Jal Shakti, a central share fund allocated from 2019 to 20 till 2022-23 was 1,099.67 lakh rupees, of which 717.81 lakh rupees was released to the state. Nagaland Beekeeping and Honey Mission today observed 4th Nagaland Honey Bee Day at NBHM Multi-Utility Centre, Kohima. APC and Mission Director Nagaland Beekeeping and Honey Mission Y. Sema in his address stated that in Nagaland with no potential for large and medium-based industries, the agro-based industry is the only potential option. He said that blessed with agro-climatic conditions, there is a huge potential for beekeeping missions in the state. Sema mentioned that the development of NBHM in the state has acted as a catalyst for other northeastern states to follow suit by establishing similar independent beekeeping missions. He encouraged officers to come up with innovations, a way of transforming traditional to modern and scientific method of beekeeping, as with modern method it will harvest more honey and multiply more bee colonies and also sustainable livelihood. He said that beekeeping should not be concentrated only in particular designated areas, but its benefits and economic prosperity should reach every nook and corner of the state. Union Finance Minister Sitharaman has said that there is a need to have greater access to international cooperation to control drugs and other illicit trafficking in the country. Speaking at the 65th founding day of the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence in New Delhi today, the minister said it is important to work in tandem with fellow countries and their agencies for which India has bilateral agreements for better access to the information. The minister also called upon the officers of the departments for better use of technology to detect crime. She added that protecting data is as important as protecting the border. The minister also raised concerns over cocaine smuggling in India, and it is a matter of great concern. She said that we need to know whether India becomes no longer a transit country or a consuming one. The minister also unveiled Smuggling in India Report 2021-22, which analyzes organized smuggling trends, commercial frauds, and international enforcement operations and cooperation. In view of the forthcoming general election, Nagaland Pradesh Congress Committee (NPCC) has assigned its officials and executives to effectively and efficiently carry out the objectives of the Congress Party till further order. In a release, NPCC General Secretary Administration Yona Konyak informed that enrollment in the Congress Party is open. The NPCC therefore called upon all sections of the society to join the Congress Party under the leadership of K. Terry for a change that will not only be felt but can also be seen in the state. This news comes to you from All India Radio, Kohima. You can also listen to this news bulletin on News on Air app and YouTube channel AIR News Kohima. India's G20 Sherpa, Amitabh Kant, has said that the priorities of India will not just reflect the aspirations of the G20 partners, but also of the global South, whose voice is often unheard. In his keynote address on the second day of the G20 Sherpa meeting in Udaipur today, Kant said India's presidency will seek to advocate the oneness of all in accordance with the theme One Earth, One Family, One Future. Quoting Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he said, "The challenges that we face today can only be solved by working together through hope, harmony and healing." Listing out the priorities of India in the meeting, Kant said, accelerated inclusive and resilient growth and accelerating progress of SDGs will help in the field of education sector. Other priorities he mentioned include green development, climate, finance, life, multilateral institutions for the 21st century, and women-led development. On the aspect of trade and investment, Kant said India's thrust will be on the resilient global value chain besides trade for growth and prosperity. On the development side, emphasis will be on data for development, public digital platforms, cyber security, and cyber safety, which are critical issues from the point of digital economy of tomorrow. Issues related to education and health have also been prioritized by India in the G20 Sherpa meeting, which stresses on foundational literacy and numeracy, as well as strengthening research and innovation and tech-enabled learning. A meeting was held between External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Federal Foreign Affairs Minister of Germany, Annalena Baerbock, in New Delhi today. During the meeting, both leaders reviewed bilateral relations and shared their views on a number of important regional and global issues. Both sides have signed a migration and mobility agreement which will facilitate easier access for people to study, research and work in both countries. The central government has convened an all-party meeting tomorrow ahead of the winter session of Parliament. In the meeting, the centre will seek cooperation from all political parties for the smooth functioning of both the Houses of Parliament during the session. The winter session of Parliament will start from 7th of this month and will continue till the 29th. The session will have 17 sittings spread over 23 days. Union Science and Technology Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh will inaugurate a conference on women leading change in health and science in India tomorrow in New Delhi. Union Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare Dr. Bharti Pravin Pawar will address the conference. The conference is being organized by the Department of Biotechnology. The conference is aimed at highlighting and promoting the importance of women's leadership in health and science. It seeks to identify attainable pathways and goals to strengthen the representation of women in leadership positions in India and the global health ecosystem. And now, 20 News, here are main points again. Union Minister of State Bishwewar, Tudu, reviews the implementation of various central schemes in Nagaland. Nagaland Beekeeping and Honey Mission observes 4th Nagaland Honey Bee Day. Union Finance Minister Sitharaman says there is a need for greater access to international cooperation to control drugs in the country. In India's G20 Sherpa, Kant says India will reflect aspirations of G20 partners and voice of global South. That is all we have in this evening news bulletin. Good night.